So I have been having a really busy morning this morning. Um, Talking with Morrigan, talking with Ancestors, and doing some reflection. And a little bit of talking with Logie, but we'll get into that later. So with the Morrigan, I've been struggling a little bit, and on some personal things, not so much magical things, more life stuff. And so just asking her, where should my focus be? What should I be focused on? And would you Aspen? And this is from the book that we created together, her sacred text, my sacred text with her. And what she says about it. Regard the self with kindness and understanding, imperfect and perfect at the same time. Can you truly stand tall and proud of yourself if it means stepping on another? Culture and society. Conflict that arises can be dispelled by accepting reality and making changes accordingly. Or you can continue self-justification to continue doing what harms you and or others. Every action gives rise to a consequence. The part of you that is supportive, loving, and treats others as equals. You decide how others impact your life and behavior. Your role is that of leader. Know that you can do what needs to be done in order to accomplish your goals. What is abundance? Regardless of whether the experience was good or bad, when we are at one with abundance, we consciously see the whole experience and learn from the whole experience. Beware of beliefs that hamper the flow of abundance. Stop counting the minutes and turn your face up to the sunlight. Those who aspire but do not succeed, this does not make them less. Take satisfaction in your endeavors. Cherish the time of now, for the next may not come. Even failure has values and lessons. That really hit home. The thing that I've been struggling with is not anything new. It's something I've struggled with for a while, for a long time in my life, actually, maybe the majority. And it's the whole thing of where I do things and I put forth all this effort into things, and it always helps everybody else, but not me. I usually end up losing more while everybody else gains more. And it's just kind of the thing that it is. And so in that, I feel like a failure sometimes. I feel like, I'm spinning my wheels and I'm making things worse. But the truth is I'm not. It's just how I'm perceiving that, because I'm putting good things out there and I'm helping other people and their stuff gets better. And because of what I do, it furthers other people along. And it, not just spiritually, but in physical life, mundane life. I mean, it's in all aspects. So that's kind of an abundance too. I mean, it's not something that I'm personally feeling and benefiting from by any means, but it's definitely something that's important because other people are benefiting from it. So that whole, those who aspire but do not succeed, that hit. And, I do take satisfaction from my endeavors. I do take a lot of joy in knowing that, I helped somebody else and I was able to do something that made somebody else a little bit brighter or a little bit better or a little bit more at ease. It's kind of my role. It's kind of what I do. So yeah. Another interesting thing that happened is when I was doing some of my spell work yesterday, I was burning one of my multi-layer candles, my multicolored candles. And generally when I burn them in here, I don't get very much, but I was pretty specific yesterday and I wanted them to show me something. I wanted the Morrigan and to show me something. And she did. A lot of ancestor in that. So when I looked at this, it immediately made me think bridge. Because it looks like a bridge. I don't know if you can all see that well, but it looks like a bridge. And that was the first thing that came to my mind and the first thing I thought of. I've been doing a bridge spell with my ancestors, specifically my Ozark women, my grandmothers. There's 4 grandmothers, and I've been doing this work with them. And the bridge spell is set, has been set for a little while now. And it was the longest spell I think I've done. Not longest running, but longest to get from the beginning to a completion point of, having a set spell. There were a lot of components. There were rituals involved. They were giving me spells that had to go into it. It required a trip in order to gather some specific dirt and some specific sand. And so, yeah, it was super interesting. And there are a lot of components, and I'm going to have to do a video on the bridge spell so people can understand it. Maybe I'll get to that this weekend. I keep saying that, but I will. I will get to the bridge spell because it's important. And I think it's a really great spell to try, especially if you're trying to connect with ancestors or land that are not in your area. But anyway, so the bridge spell really came forward with that. So I decided to ask ancestors this morning about where we are with the bridge spell. And the first thing I got was the Fool, this card. And so they're letting me know that we're still at the beginning. The bridge itself is set and it's been opened and it's solid. But I'm still at the beginning of tapping that potential and use of the bridge. And so I asked, okay, well, what do I need to do now? Drink of my cup. That whole thing, drink of my cup, to see what I see, to know what I know, to feel what I feel. That's something the Morrigan gave me, that little chanty kind of piece. And it keeps coming up. And it's part of a prayer that I do with her in the morning. And the meaning of that has really started to take a much deeper meaning and deeper shape. And it is a spell unto itself. So we're going to be diving with that. This one is definitely something to do with new moon, dark moon, and being inside the space where I set this side of the bridge, which is here on our property. It's in my sacred circle outside. And so there is a component, there's some type of ritual or something doing with that. So I'm going to dive deeper into that. And Hermit is taking it all in and then unleashing it all out into the world. So bringing it in, becoming part of me, and then moving through the world with it or unleashing it onto the world. Really kind of depends on what we're doing. And then ancestors had one last little bit just to pipe in, and it's talking about witches and protection, but it's not really protection in like I need a protection spell or anything like that. I am super protected. I have a lot of layers of protection. So I don't really worry about protection. Um, what this is really talking about, because my Ozark women were witches, there's a lot of um, what we would consider today witches within my family, not my immediate family, not my living family, but in my ancestors. And I think a lot of people will find that. I really do. I mean, it just kind of depends on how you're defining that, because women kind of had to be that in a way, to certain degrees. Now, granted, I mean, you have kitchen witchery, you have herbalism, those types of witches, which are probably the most common that you would find in families because that was necessity. And then you have the other ones that take it a whole lot more, that are more witchy in the way that we would consider witchy today, which that's a lot of my people. So that's been a whole interesting thing. I'll get into that later. But I think it's really talking about the witches bringing the certain ones that have been calling out, that have been coming in and connecting and together, working together and creating a protection within that, something different. So we'll kind of see. I mean, it's not like a protection, like I need a protection spell or whatever. No, it's kind of like the standing together as one kind of thing. That's what I'm really feeling for them, from them. And I'm going to have to dive deeper into all these aspects. I mean, this is just, a quick thing, just to ask to find, surface stuff. And there's going to be a lot that I need to dig into to really get a better understanding of what we are doing and what needs to be done with this. With all that being said, there was one other piece that came up today, and it was more of a reflection. We're getting to the end of January and moving into February, and I do these 2023 Outlook readings, which really give you a spiritual path and a physical path. And then it breaks down the months into actions and questions and energies to be aware of, that kind of thing. And so, going to be vulnerable here, and I'm going to share with you some of mine from my personal. So with my Outlook reading for 2023, my spiritual path was really rooted in the core being joy in my personal dogma bringing joy and choices. So the Morrigan really came through, and it's unmasked the Morrigan to the world and bring and show gratitude in this act. What she's meaning here, I see and have connected with the Morrigan in different ways. I see her a little differently than a lot of the mainstream. There are points that I agree with on the mainstream because they are aspects of her. But my work with her and what she has shown me and what she has told me, there are differences, and there are aspects that, there's a lot of aspects that it seems like what's out in public forum is very surface level, where she has a lot more depth to her. I guess that's a good way of putting it, without having to really dive into all the aspects. But for me, she is all about transformation. Now, is that because that is where my work is? Quite possible, but it doesn't matter. She's given me a lot of tools. She is, I've walked this path for quite a while with her, and she's shown me a lot of things. She's taught me a lot of things. She's given me a lot of stories. She's given me a lot of tools, and it's about sharing those. From my perspective, my journey, sharing those out there and just releasing them to the world, giving a different perspective for her. than the ones that are the common that we see. My challenge is trust and I understand that for the simple fact that it trusting that I'll be okay, because there's some real mean, crappy people out there. And I experience them just like everybody else does, where, I'm talking from my personal experience. I'm talking from the message that she has given me and what she has shown me, knowing that it's personal to me. Yet people want to come out of the woodwork and have their own say on things, which is kind of crazy. But anyway, the physical path really blended in with my spiritual path. So the core was to grow deep roots, new cycles, and balance will depend on the choices I make, how I speak, how I share, how I lead by example. So my spiritual path, which is all of this, was very much, and I didn't go through all of it, I just highlight. The spiritual path is very much about taking all my experiences, taking all the things that she has given me, taking all the words and the stories she has given to me, and release them out into the world for whoever to find them, for whoever to get inspired by them, or to give them ideas or connect them to her in different ways. Or the thing I find a lot is, giving people that opportunity that do experience her differently than certain groups that, want to dominate the conversation about her. It gives them a space to feel, oh, I'm not alone. So the spiritual path was taking all of those things and putting it out there. And the physical path is really talking about how I do that, in the things to be aware of. And so that was the core. My inner self, I need to be confident in the journey. I just need to not worry about the crappy people. I need to not worry about people that want to take this as, oh, you're telling me what to do, or, oh, because I'm not. All I'm doing is sharing my own journey and what she has given me and the messages and the stories she's given me. That's it. I'm not trying to convert anybody. I'm not trying to tell them how to do things, because I truly believe that our connections have a lot to do with our path, the lessons that they teach us, the things that, the core elements that we see in them have a lot to do with our own path. So, me as a transformation, death, and creation, which, these are the aspects that I see the most in the Morrigan. I see her transformative, shape-shifting side. And so in the physical, it's birth new life and nurture it. So just put it all out there and just keep nurturing that. And the challenge, there's things that I have, what's right now, what's going to be, but those are kind of personal, so I'm not going through those. Challenge, master my emotions. This path leaves me a target for others. Conflict and battles, battle with clear intentions, and do not allow my anger or hurt to cloud that. Well, yeah, we kind of covered that, because it does make me vulnerable. It makes anybody vulnerable when we put out our own things, when we put out our own experiences, when we are sharing our own stuff. It does make us vulnerable. It does make us a target, especially if we're talking about personal experiences of a very well-known deity or aspect or type of magic, yet we see that differently, or we have a different experience than the cookie cutter one that everybody puts out there. So yeah, the guide through that is just focus on the arrow, my prey, and the space between. That means the job I'm to do, the goal to be achieved, and the steps to get there. That's it. That's my focus. And it's expressed in my faith in the Morrigan and the work we have done. Because that's what this is all about. It has nothing to do with any of the things that everybody else worries about. trying to convert me? Are you trying to change her? No, I'm just putting out what she's given me and what she's told me. And my life has completely changed with her. My life has changed. My spirituality has changed with her. My magic has changed with her. And I'm finally at a place of home, which is pretty amazing to me. So yeah, this is a little peek into my own stuff and being really vulnerable and being really honest. So in January, my energy to be cautious of, come from a place of nurturing and not dominance when standing in your authority. Yeah, because I am standing in my authority when I share, when I pass messages, but at the same time, I'm not doing it for a domination. I'm not doing it to change somebody or anything like that. I'm just following the path that I need to follow. And the person receiving that is going to take it however they want. But I'm not looking from a place of, changing you or, telling you what to do or giving you instructions in that way. No, I'm just nurturing the things that helped me and that I learned with the Morrigan and, the message that is to be passed. So this really also came into play with a message that I needed to pass to a friend. And it was a really difficult message because she wasn't doing something she was supposed to be doing. And I didn't want to interfere in that. I didn't want to be, that kind of friend of, you should be doing this because otherwise you're going to get squashed. So yeah, I tried to do it from a place of friendship and from nurture instead of, this is going to happen if you don't get this done. She'll know what I'm talking about. The energy at the forefront for January, destiny. This is what I am meant to do. The job agreed upon, because it is a job that I do with Morrigan, and it's one that I agreed. It's all about my work as seneschal, her seneschal. Action to embrace, ignite the fire within, and tell your truth, which is what I've been doing. I've been putting things down in a book and into my witch's journal on my website, and I've been, but there's something that's coming that's really, really going to put that out there. Questions to be asked. So these are questions that I had to ask and really dive into, not just on a surface level, but go deep to find the whys. So what am I afraid of and why? Why do others, their words and actions, make this path difficult for me? What is the worst that backlash can create for me? And we get these things in our head so much, and we build it up like it's, this disastrous thing. If I put out my experience, if I share this, it goes against a little bit of, what other people are saying or whatever, or maybe it's completely different than what other people are saying. And so you're talking about, sharing an experience that is going to make you vulnerable. It is going to heckle some feathers, and the people that are trying to be dominant about that certain subject or, that certain deity or that certain tradition, whatever it is. And, there is backlash. They get mean about it, and they, just have to be the authority, have to be the voice. And we've talked about those kinds of things before. But really, what is the worst backlash? Some people talk some smack about you. Some people talk some smack about you, and they start sharing some crap online and trying to get people to hate on you too and all this. But here's the thing. People are going to look at your stuff, and they're either going to resonate with it or they're not. That's fine. They don't have to. They can talk smack all they want. The people that know you will know the truth. And the ones that don't know you, if they're the type of people that are just going to jump on board and start following something without knowing the context, without understanding or even investigating the other side, if they don't go look at your stuff and other things you've written and other things you've put out there and all that, and they're going to judge based on something that, another person is saying, then you really don't want to be involved with them anyway. I mean, they're not people that are conscious about other perspective. They're not people that are willing to go and do the work and investigate and find out for themselves. They're just going to take somebody's word for it and, oh, okay, this is the leader of the day, and so we're going to bow down. Okay, that's their choice. But it shouldn't affect you. Pain is going to happen. Hurt's going to happen. You're going to get your feelings hurt. It's just kind of part of it. That's life. It happens all the time in life. But it's not going to break us. And it doesn't change anything for us. So, what is the worst that backlash can create for you? And what I needed to let go of? The fear. And just move with courage. And so that's what I've been trying to do. Just let go of all the BS. Let go of all that craziness, that, being afraid to share and just speak in my own way without sitting there trying to, twist and really think carefully about every single word that I'm saying or writing, so it fits in correctly with everybody's stuff so I don't offend anybody. Here's the thing. It's no matter how much I twist and turn, somebody's going to get offended. Somebody's going to be unhappy. Somebody's going to talk some smack. Welcome to the internet. So all through January, I've been putting some of the writing out there and putting some of those things out there through January, as far as, some of the stories and some of the things like that. Some of the work and what it looks like and how this looks. But we're going to be hitting really hard in February because, like I said, there's something that's coming and I'm pretty excited about it. And hopefully some of you will be too, but we're not there yet. So February, energy to be cautious of: voice. Always speak from a place of authenticity and experience. Some will not agree, some will not be ready, but do not alter yourself or your words to fit them. The energy that's going to be at my forefront: be mindful of your own emotions and emotions that may arise from the messages you receive and those you pass them to. Action to embrace: silence. Not all battles are worth fighting. There will be many you do not need to engage with, but to be silent through. I'll admit, that one's going to be hard because we always want to defend. We want to defend ourselves. We want to defend our beliefs. We want to defend our faith. We want to defend, the things that we love. But if that person on the receiving end of that, that's creating this need for defense, if they're not in a place to see new perspective, if they're not in a place to open their mind to possibilities, your fighting is doing nothing but feeding their ego. I mean, you can be really clear and plain in your language to them and be very direct and all that. That's one thing. But if you're arguing and if you're constantly trying to make your point, all you're doing is digging yourself in deeper and allowing them to feed their ego because they think that they've won in their mind. And you're over here like, what is going on? So, not all battles are meant to be fought. Some we just need to be silent through. Kind of goes back to that, what is the worst backlash can do for me kind of a thing. Questions I need to be asking in February. Why do I fear being silent in conflicts? What is the worst outcome? What I need to let go of. You are speaking your truth and experience. You are not their mother. You do not need to hold their hand or fix them. Just guide and give perspective. And surprisingly enough, that's going to be kind of hard because I have this thing where I over-explain things because I'm afraid people won't understand if I don't over-explain and go into all the detail and the back stuff. And the truth is I lose them when I do that. I try to explain and I try to put it in really simplified terms and show them from beginning to end, and they get lost because it's a lot and it's overwhelming. And I'm a fixer. I'm a healer and I'm a fixer. It's what I do. It's what I've always done in my life. And so this whole, you can't fix people. That's been a really hard lesson with the Morrigan. I had to learn it early on and I stick with it. But there are times where I'm like, oh, but if I did this, I could help here. But here's the thing. I can't fix anybody. You can't fix anybody. They can only do that for themselves. We can guide, we can support, we can give different perspective and different ideas, we can inspire, but they are the only ones that can fix themselves. So yeah, going back to that, making sure that I'm staying in that boundary because Morgan knows me. Kind of bad. I'm doing much better this year. I am very well known to break my boundary in order to help somebody else because I'm like, oh, I can help them. They're coming to me and they're asking me for help, and I know if I do this, I could help them. But here's the thing, I can't. I can guide them. I can support them. I can help them see different perspectives and things they might not have seen. But I can't hold their hand and I can't do the work for them. They have to do that themselves. So yeah, that's kind of where I am this morning. So I've got the Morrigan, telling me, just because it looks like a failure or just because it doesn't look like, what you think should happen doesn't mean that it wasn't a good thing. It wasn't a good thing that I did and wasn't necessary and needed for somebody else. And, just keep looking at myself with kindness and know that I'm doing the best that I can. And my January, yeah, I've been going through it. And all the aspects of that and putting all that out there, and what's going to happen is happening. And in February, it's just a continuation, but it's a lot more outer voice. So that's coming. And then the bridge with ancestors. And we've got spell work to do. We've got some heavy things. I'm not sure exactly where the bridge is going. I haven't known where the bridge was going since we created the bridge. So it'll be an adventure. I like adventures. So yeah, how was your morning gone? What have you done this morning? Did you do anything cool with your people? Whether it's ancestors, deity, guide, nature, yourself, on a spiritual level. Have you connected on a spiritual level today? And if not, are you going to? Is it something that you're going to take just a little bit of time? Don't need to take much. Just take a little bit of time and reflect and be within your own thoughts and connect with the energies that you created bonds with. Yeah. So I'm curious. If anybody wants to, put in the comments, things that you've done today or something with your morning routine, or maybe it's a night routine. Maybe it's just nature. How have you connected today to something beyond yourself?